I'm William Shatner. I've done a lot of things in my career, but this takes the cake. This is so cool. You, Joseph, today, it's all about you. You won the internet. Congratulations. It's exciting. It makes me want to celebrate. Makes me want to get out of this chair. Makes me want to sing. Makes me want to dance. Makes me want to shout. Kick my heels up. Throw my hands up. Toss my head back. No, really, people should be shouting your name in the street.
Come on now. Sing that name.
Sing that song.
Joseph,
Sing it out loud.
Joseph.
I want to celebrate. Put it up in lights.
The internet belongs to you.
See, no one else deserves to be celebrated like you because you are the best.
Joseph JAFFE is not famous. Me, Tom Arnold, I am very famous. I absolutely like, because it's very true. Like, I hadn't freaking heard of you until I was sitting on a Friday night. This is how bad my life is. Listen, fucker, good luck. Good luck with your rebranding. Like anybody knew what the name was before. What was the name? Okay, who gives a shit? That's a good name because it's got your name in it. You can pretend you're humble. You say, I'm not famous. And, which you aren't. So you're just, I mean, anyway, but I hope you get famous doing this. Good luck to you.
When it comes to chicken, I'm your guy.
Blinking.
I'll have what Joseph's has.
Look, somebody's talking about you.
This is what we call the voice of God.
Popping.
Everybody just gets to focus on you.
Grab me.
Probably not the best thing for an introvert.
I'm asking for you.
Well, I like a good chicken sandwich.
Touch me. Hi, David. Comment.
Oh my God.
Like.
You're actually an identical twin.
Push.
Maybe I'll just ask Julie to talk about what it is to be an identical twin.
Pick me up.
No, you didn't.
Shouting.
Surprise! Jeremiah, just hang on a second. I just got a text.
There's an edit for your new opening, Joseph.
I feel really honored to have been here, man.
By the way, you've done a masterful job. Seriously.
And it was such a joy.
Thanks, Joseph. It's an honor.
Good on you. This was a pleasure.
I mean, you are the prime example of how to pivot in this new environment.
I wish everybody gets an opportunity to interact with Joseph JAFFE.
Who needs Cameo when I've got my own personal Cameo? You know, I have to tell you, I was a little bit slow on the trigger finger today. A couple of pregnant pauses because, you know, I have to tell you, hell hell has frozen over in the JAFFE residence, in the Joseph JAFFE is Not Famous global studio. We have no heat for the second time in several days. It is about 17 degrees outside. It is about 61 degrees inside. I am as prepared as I possibly can be. I got the old hot water bottle. I guess that's what we called it in South Africa. I'm not sure what you call it here in the United States and America. But you know what? You know what warms me up? What warms me up, of course, is the power of community. What warms me up is you. I may have won the internet, but you won my heart. And what also warms me up, of course, are my guests. Today, we get to hear, well, yesterday, I mean, wow, Sam Silverstein, all this thought about accountability and me being accountable to myself, to you, to 2022, the year of monetization. What a wonderful episode. But that was then, and this is now. We get to focus on John Andrews and Ted Rubin. Ted Rubin is back. This is a masochist, ladies and gentlemen. He is back for more pain. And John, I haven't seen him in so long. If he isn't meditating into his new balance, we are going to hear about the future of retail. I just can't wait. Now, let's see who is here. Lubna, you are becoming a real regular. You have the regular, I think, do you have the regular role on Discord yet? But you are going to get it soon if you don't have it already. Manif says, shout his name. Joseph Shoutout and Mr. Steve Garfield, a man who understands video. He has forgotten more than I will ever learn. We are making him happy. Brian is back. He says, yikes, bad time to be without heat, no doubt. And Bob loves that quote, a masterful job. Yeah, I like it as well. Manif says we call it a kurba in Yemen. I don't know what kurba is, though. I mean, like are we talking about heat? Are we talking about William Shatner? Are we talking about the Borg? You're going to have to tell me what kurba means. But happy kurba to you too, my friend. And finally, Jeffrey Wollman, Mr. Jeff Wollman, he says, hi, I'm back too. I guess we're going to have to give you a role as well. And he indicates Burr, because Burr is right. Remember, it might be cold outside, but it is warm inside, especially with our new Friday format, NFT Fridays. NFT Fridays, we kick it off. We kick it off this Friday with Michelle McCormack. We're going to hear about her journey her from Fierce Studios to Fierce NFTs, which just launched as well. You'll be hearing a lot about NFT Fridays. But just like Dexter Morgan, the serial killer, the good serial killer, the good guy serial killer, I have my code as well. And, you know, with my code, it's very, very simple. My code is I'm going to have NFT founders on Fridays, but I need to own their NFTs. At the moment, and maybe forever, there is no money changing hands. In fact, there is money changing hands from me to them. They're not paying to be on the show. I am a customer. And for that reason, I want to hear more about their projects as well. So if you have NFT projects and you want to come on the show, remember, you know, I just need to be a customer. So what you've got to do is let me know about your projects. And if they seem interestingly enough, who knows, you might just be on the show on Fridays. I like that idea. I think so much in this world is pay for play. Sometimes it's good to be able to pay it forward or play it forward and be able to send some love in the other direction. And that's exactly why I like to give away JAFFE coin on my show. So here is your QR code, everyone. If you want to be able to enjoy JAFFE coin, you can get it for free right now. This QR code will be live between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. I see Ted Rubin right now is grabbing himself, and so is John Andrews, some JAFFE coin. Wait a second. Come on. You know, guests aren't allowed to get JAFFE coin. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So I'm going to be doing a lot of new exciting things, and a lot of them are going to really kind of coincide with the launch of my Discord server. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to start to release show QR codes or just URLs into the Discord server. And it won't just be live from 1 to 2 p.m. It will actually be live for several days to allow you to time shift as well. So whether you watch the show live or ultimately whether you're just watching through the Discord server, not only will you be able to benefit from that, but I'm actually going to give away a little bit more JAFFE coin as well, because the whole idea is to feed my customer, is to feed the relationship. Some might even call it return on relationship. There's a little bit of a plug for Mr. Ted Rubin. He is the king. He is the king, I tell you, of relationships. And we're going to hear from him soon enough. So if you would like to get into the Discord, all you got to do is bit.ly/notfamous Discord, because I am not famous. My show is not famous, and neither is my Discord as well. And that's how you can partake and enjoy. Well, now it's time to get into today's seated soliloquy. And the soliloquy, I mean, talk about tongue twisters, man. The tongue twister of the seated soliloquy is called Phygical. Why do I do this to myself? I have absolutely no idea. We've all heard that new does not necessarily replace old, right? I mean, the internet didn't replace newspapers, right? Substack, Medium, and Discord didn't replace blogs, right? Twitter didn't replace the Golden Globes, right? Hold on. I'm not sure I'm making my point at all. Or maybe I am. what if it did? Why are we so afraid to take an absolute stance? Why are we always hedging? If only someone would write a book called Life After the 30-Second Spot. Wait. If a 30-second spot gets aired in a forest, was the person in the room on their phone and... What were you saying again? Now, my guest today wrote a book on the future of retail, and it got me to thinking, especially with their provocation, is retail even relevant anymore? Okay, maybe that was a little too Blue Origin, even for Jeff. Let's ground that question quite literally. Is physical retail even relevant anymore? Is there any advantage of going into a store or a mall that is actually endemic to the act of picking and paying for a product? I'll give you the whole experiential thing. I'm fully aboard the retail experience train, but rather than attempt to save retail by tweaking or retrofitting, why not just prepare for the great virtual explosion? The retail metaverse. Now, if I'm being overly snarky today in this soliloquy, it's only because I know my guests are going to be all over this like a cheap retail suit. They might even agree with parts of this soliloquy. I honestly can't think of one advantage of going into a physical retail store anymore. Maybe one: immediacy, instant gratification, getting what you want when you want it, provided it's in stock, of course. And don't think I'm letting digital off the hook anytime soon. With the head start of e-commerce and the current shot in the arm of social distant retailing and the death, allegedly, of Black Friday, why is e-tailing still so sterile and lifeless, with a largely inconsistent and unpredictable customer service extension optional? Look, it's not all bad. I'm excited as an avatar in a metaverse by the new Amazon, meaning Shopify. Or does Amazon already own Shopify? I do think that the crossover between retail and NFTs, by the way, is going to be game-changing. While I don't think retail's best days are behind, I also don't think they're ahead, unless we are fully prepared to introspect, adapt, and innovate. So cue the one-click thinking easy button. Well, that was definitely overly snarky today, but it's only because I'm inspired by my guests. And before we bring them on, let's just see any comments coming in. Mr. Tom Morris himself, he says, Ted Rubin and Joe Jaffe together again? Awesome. And Lubna says, good question. Is physical retail relevant? We are in lockdown, so all the non-essential stores are closed. Well, maybe our guest today will answer that. Finally, Jeff Wallman says, I like going to the store to be able to get out of my home office for a break now that I work remote so much. So, let's forget about me. Let's bring them onto the show. And by the way, one more little bit of snark left today. In my Google Doc where people fill it out, I say, is there a short bio, 100 words or less, or a 60-second or shorter video sizzle reel to introduce yourself with? My response from Ted was, you're cool, buddy. You know us both. Well, I certainly do. So let's just bring them on to the show. Ted Rubin, John Andrews, welcome back to the show, my friends.
Was that actually snarkier than usual? It sounded like the normal Joe Jaffe.
Maybe you bring that out in me, which is a good thing, because you make me feel a little bit more mischievous, a little bit more playful, a little bit more irreverent, which feels very authentic to me. But enough about you, Ted. Let's say hello to John.
Ted can bring out the inner snark in just about anyone. I love that about him.
The inner snark, is that even? Well, it is a thing now. So listen, you said I know you. I'm not sure that I do know you. I mean, all I know about you is John apparently worked for a retail startup. I mean, I've never, I don't know. We say in the Web3 world, wag me,
That's awesome.
and then we've got NGMI not going to make it. John, do you think Walmart's going to make it?
I think Walmart's probably going to be okay.
Okay. That's a relief. And Ted Rubin, what do I know about Ted Rubin? The only thing I know about him is he loves puppets, ventriloquists, and Terry Fader. So, did I do the same thing last time, Ted?
I think you did, man. I got to tell you that evening that you took me to and made sure that we were like front row was the best night of my life.
Funnily enough, I'm spending a lot more time with Greg Verdino these days, certainly more time than he would like. But yeah,
Greg was not as happy as I was, but
all due respect, Greg is never happy. I will say that.
Greg featured me in one of his books.
Well, he is a good judge of character. I will say.
And he got my last name wrong, that was fine. It was good.
Well, all I know about your last name is today is actually Learn Your Name in Morse Code Day. So, without further ado, if you want to translate that, maybe you shouldn't. But it actually says John Andrews, Ted Rubin, the co-authors of Retail Relevancy. So we will get to that. You're actually, John, guest number 310. And Ted, returning guest 46.2. And as you know, if you do the show 5 times, you get your own smoking jacket.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Gotta work on being this show. I do have an NFT project, so I'll be emailing you about that.
Oh, nice. You'll be back on Friday then.
Awesome.
Yesterday I returned to the show. Sam Silverstein was on the show, and I forgot to mention that it was actually yesterday was Peculiar People Day. And I didn't get to ask him about it, but I thought maybe I would actually ask you guys about it, which is, this idea of being different, this idea of embracing our differences, embracing our peculiarities. We live in a world now where so much is about fitting in and looking and feeling and acting like everyone else in fear of standing out, in fear of being singled out, in fear of being canceled, whatever the case may be. I just wanted to get your thoughts, on the importance of peculiarity, and maybe we can even do a little dance, hop, skip, and jump, and open up the dialogue about peculiar brands and why brands aren't more peculiar. So just a little bit of non sequitur, tangential banter before we get into the meat and potatoes. I wonder what you guys think about that.
I kind of think it's the opposite. I think too many people try to stand out by, creating a persona for themselves instead of just being themselves. So I think that people have started, I think actually we're moving in that direction. I think people are being more themselves. And I think just like, a lot of the stuff we talk about in the book got accelerated by the pandemic and or as you like to call it, our lost 2 years. Or other technologies, I think it's also brought out people recognizing that it's okay to be who they are and speaking their mind. And I'm all for that. So I'm with you. Joe, I'm behind you. If you want to start this hashtag Peculiar People Day, I'm in. But I like to just be yourself.
Be yourself.
I don't think you have any characters left on Twitter, because you've got no let up, you've got R on R, right? You've got return on relationship. But if you want to go into Peculiar People Day, I'm PPD. I'm with you all the way, my friend.
PPD.
What do you think about peculiarity, John, and maybe even the concept of peculiar brands? Why aren't brands more peculiar? Are brands, we all talk about, breaking through the clutter and standing out, but are brands really prepared to stick their necks out?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think Ted touches on something. I think peculiarity, when you see someone that is making an obvious attempt to stand out, right? They tend to do it in the way that other people who make obvious attempts to stand out in their genre do, right? and so it becomes not personally relevant because you're like, oh, that's their shtick, that's their thing, that's their whatever. To Ted's point, I'm super interested in just everyday people and what they do, and think about the stories that compel us, right? Because we're all, everyday people that walk our dogs and hope that they take a poop, and we like stuff in our coffee, or we don't, or whatever, and it's almost like, because of the need and I think social media drives a lot of this, the need to get attention, that there's this swing to the extreme, so that I can be attention getting, right? And maybe we need a little less peculiarity. Ooh, that's a mouthful.
That is a mouthful, by the way.
More be yourselfity. People are interesting, right? And they need to embrace that about themselves. You don't have to, and there's nothing wrong with having blue hair or dressing only in flamingo suits, or whatever the thing is. But are you doing that all the time? Was that your thing, or is it something that you're doing because the super hard ability to break through the clutter?
And Joe, just to bring that into what you talked about, let's say brands or retailers, I think it's about being comfortable in your own skin. It's funny because I've been recently having this conversation a lot, because I find sometimes I'm trying to embrace things that make me happy. And they don't necessarily have to be things that are acceptable. If I want to sleep late, I always have a problem with that, because I think like, oh, I got to get up. I got to start producing. Why not, man? If I like my pillow in the morning wrapped in my arms and back under the covers, why can't I let myself enjoy that? And I think brands also need to start being comfortable in their own skin, that they're not Amazon, that they're going to do it their way, that their form of what they think is a good customer experience is something that works for them and may not be the norm of what's, the accepted thing out there. And I think we're starting to see that more as brands, in an effort to differentiate themselves, instead of becoming peculiar or becoming something that people will write about, they start being comfortable in their own skins and building what they really set out to build.
Damn you both, because I'm going to have to go back now and rewatch that blurb. Who needs to discuss retail, which we will. By the way, that was a great conversation. Maria Bailey is here, and she says, so many incredible minds in one place today. Clearly she counted John 3 times, but that's okay. Lubna says, embrace your joy moments. Got some really nice comments as well. Michael Fraser says, I'm enjoying the show. And I'm enjoying the fact that you're enjoying the show. Yeah, I love that. I love it. I actually wrote this down while you guys were talking, which is this idea of authentically peculiar, right? Which is don't try and be different for the sake of being different. Just be yourself. And if being yourself means you're different, then Godspeed, power to you. And wear your flamingo suit and blue hair. Damn it.
Hey, Michael, can you buy that URL for us while Joseph's busy?
Which one?
No, I think you're right. Joseph, you and I met when I was at Walmart, and at that time, there was a movement among a lot of conversations to be more like Target, right? And I remember this, and we had all these consultants. They were helping us think about, clean aisles and taking all the four ways out of the aisles, and all the things that clutter Walmart and whatever. And I remember having a conversation with my mom one day, and she said, and we did that. We did that because we needed to be more like Target, because you definitely want the 10% of your sales you don't have to affect the 100% of the sales you do have. my mom said something that's always stuck with me. She said, "Hey, why'd you guys take all those displays out of the middle of the aisle? That's how I knew where the great deals were." And that's why people went to Walmart. That was their thing, right? You know, if you think about Sam and what he did in retail, he's like, let's stuff as much stuff in the store as we can. Give a supplier a reason to give me a better price because I'm going to buy gobs of it, and then our customers will come looking because we have a $6 toaster, right? And I just, that comment from my mom stuck with me. That was Walmart. That is still, I think, Walmart's brand essence. It's a mixture of a treasure hunt. I know I'm going to get the best price. It's why people go to Walmart. Don't try to be anything else. It's that, 140 million people going through the door every week. Can't be wrong. Give them what they want.
Man, let me tell you, first of all, Brian says, Ted, you're a quick change artist. And Michael is already registering.
Sorry about the URL. Thanks, man.
That URL.
I have to tell you, when I used to wear that jacket on flights, when I traveled with John, every single person walking by us would stop and comment.
I was going to say every person walking by made sure they were like, please let me not be sitting next to him.
Please don't let that guy be sitting next to me, right?
Brian says, great point, John. The key is knowing your customer, knowing what they want. It's the same in content marketing.
100%.
And we're certainly going to get into that now. Glenn, by the way, is here, and he said he's enjoying the show in a self-driving car. I love that because you just sit, you got your hands on the wheel, you've got your screen in front of you. This is the power of 1 p.m. now, right? Whether it's soup and salad, whether it's taking a break in your virtual office, in your remote office, or in your self-driving car, Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous is with you. So, oh, look, it's my mother as well. Great to see all three. So we got a party. We got a party going on right now, including Tom Morris, who said, I like to apply that advice as a philosopher. Hey, there are 3 or 4 people walking through the door every day, so I must be doing something right. So I just want to say, I want to say 3 wise men. Again, this time he counted Ted 3 times, but it's okay. There were a couple of really interesting, I listen, as a marketer, as a show host now, and in 310 guests, there are beautiful little phrases that I immediately know have legs. One of them is the idea of the $6 toaster. There is a book in there called this. That's the follow-up to Retail Relevancy. It's called the $6 toaster, or it's a blog post, or it's something. John, that is yours with my compliments, my friend.
I love it. And it's
brilliant.
But think about that. Whether that's in a store or online or wherever that you come across that, it's a stopper, right? It is the essence of what Walmart stands for. It's like, holy crap, there's a $6 toaster, and so you're immediately struck by, because they would have that on an end cap. You're immediately struck by, this is what the brand stands for. I get it. I don't have to think anymore, right? And I loved that about the retailer. And when Walmart embraces that about itself, it wins, hands down.
I feel like Ted wanted to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say, don't give John an idea about another book because
no,
because the other idea was peculiar branding. I think theirs or peculiar marketing. There is a book idea, and trust me, I'm not writing it. I don't know that I can ever write another book again. But that's another story for another day, because today we are here to celebrate you guys. Forget about William Shatner celebrating me. We're here to celebrate you guys. We're here to celebrate retail relevancy. This is the time when I just, changed my entire branding of my show, the background, the foreground. I even let you sponsor the show by putting a little icon in the top right-hand corner. Welcome to the club. John, this is not your first book, or is it your first book?
It's my first and last book. I'm with you. I'm a reader, not a writer. But, it was some things that Ted and I talked about a lot. And, Yeah, and people would ask us about it, and I'm like, well, let's put it down on paper. So we started doing that.
I also just want to throw out a quick attribution. Amazing cover of the book, Michael Frazier, who you commented about his comment before. Michael Frazier, Avalanche Media Works, the best Avalanche Media Group. Wait, John, get this right for me.
Avalanche Media.
Avalanche Media. Michael, you rock, buddy.
He does.
So Michael, I agree, you rock. And let me tell you something. If you don't just hear from the authors, go and buy the book and support them. And so, buy Retail Relevancy wherever books aren't sold. And that is just, of course, a little bit of a provocative blurb on Barnes & Noble and Borders. Wait a second, there's no more Borders. But it's beautiful because here you have a physical book and a digital book and a Kindle book and an audio book. And the question is, well, where do we sell that book? Where does the book get sold? What is the future of retail? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to paste a URL to this new startup called Amazon, where you guys can buy the book. That will be in all the comment thread. And then I'm going to disappear for a moment and let you guys talk a little bit about the book, the premise, the hypothesis, the vision, the mission. And when you run out of things to say, I'll be back with a question or two. So take it away, boys.
Well, I'm actually going to introduce John here because, John's right. John and I, first of all, we love road trips and we travel a lot together and we're in the car together. And yes, we even share hotel rooms. And I remember when John first said that to me, I'm like, dude, I'm kind of old for that sharing room thing. He's like, no, man, it'll be fun. We'll get to bounce ideas off each other, which we did. And for years, we kept talking about, we built Collective Bias. John founded it, dragged me in kicking and screaming. Thank God. Thank you, John. I will always appreciate that. We worked with retailers and brands all over the country. We doing some of the first influencer work. And we talked about retail so much. I mean, we started a company after Collective Bias called Prevailing Path, which we still do a lot of things through, looking at the path to purchase. And like John said, we said, hey, man, we should probably put this down. And it was a struggle because retail is evolving so quickly. We were trying to stay on top. And then COVID hit and those last 2 years, Joe. Tribute to Joe JAFFE, and a lot of what we were writing about was being accelerated at a big rate. We've all seen with a lot of these technologies. And John is the guy that lives and breathes retail. John loves going into stores, not necessarily to shop, but to see other people shopping, to watch his daughter shop, to see what's happening. He tries out new sites, new websites, new e-commerce, really just to see how they work. And as you guys know, I kind of bring the engagement, the relationship side to it. So I want to let John jump in with his view of how retail relevancy got started and what we wrote about and where we're going. And John, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, man. I think that was great. And I do believe that the interplay that you and I have when discussing things is a lot of what made this book happen and what makes this book special. Because, I know I spend a lot of time geeking out about things and then trying to get you excited about it, because I want to be like, dude, this display in Target is awesome. And you're like, yeah, there's some makeup on a counter, but you were in this space. You were the CMO at Elf Cosmetics, and that's where we met. So you understand what happens in a store, and then you were there in that transition where people started to buy things, extra the store, right? And that was that was a great time. And I think what you mentioned, we started this back in 2017, and it was some of the things we were writing and some of the things we were doing, and I was slack about getting things done, and you got us an editor, which was awesome. Thank you, April Parcher. She was wonderful. And then COVID happened, and a lot of the things we were talking about started accelerating like nobody's business. In March of 2020, it's 2020, right? March of 2020, Walmart's people who ordered something online and picked it up went from about 5% to 30% in a month. And you're like, I remember talking to you about this, Ted, thinking, they're never going back to doing it the old way. You know, my wife is like, hey, we're going to Target. And I do not want to go to Target with my wife and walk around, even though I love walking around a store. But I know she means we're not going in. We're going to pull up in the space, and she's going to hit the button that opens her tailgate, and somebody's going to put something in the back, and we're out. You know, I'm like, this is awesome. You know, and I kind of wonder why we just don't have Target deliver it, since they'll be happy to do that too, and doesn't take too much longer. But it was the process of thinking about this, and I love what Joseph said earlier. I wrote that word down. Phygical. Yeah. Why is anytime you talk about this subject, that was a great pop in, Joe. Why anytime you talk about this subject, is it like a war between, you know, it's not, of course, stores aren't going away. Of course, everybody's not going to get everything on e-com, and stores have like, it's not an either or battle. It's meeting the customer where they are, how they want to shop. Isn't that what retail is all about? It is thinking about what does our customer want to do, not how we want them to shop. There was a great article, Ted, I shared yesterday. I think you commented on it, about the Marble Arch, the shopping district in London. And somebody had a great idea. I got to be honest, I like the idea a lot. They built this big, and The Economist is so funny because, you know, they've got that British, you know, dry kind of sense of humor. They're like, evidently a big mound of dirt is going to solve retail's problems. So they built this huge mountain of dirt in trees and stuff, and put it around this retail area, and they were going to charge people, you know, £8 to go up to the top and, you know, experience it and whatever. Of course, nobody would do that, so they made it free. And I think I just read yesterday that they're going to shut it down. But it's not the idea of we have to do more things to get people to come to retail. We have to do those things which the shopper would like us to do. And in a lot of places, that's just taking friction out of the system, you know. And I'll give you, I'm sorry, I know I went long, but I'll give you one great example. I shop at Harris Teeter. Why do I shop at Harris Teeter? It's a Kroger banner because it's the closest grocery store to my home. Number one reason people shop at grocer. They, to this day, don't have POS systems which I can use my watch and pay for stuff. It sounds like a small thing. It makes me not go there as much. God's honest truth. Because I'm like, you know, I don't always have my wallet. Sometimes I'm out walking my dog or whatever. I just need something. I always got my watch. It's got my Apple card on it, and bam, I can pay for anything. I paid for coffee today already. I paid for a couple other. You know, why is this not a thing? It's a POS system. They're all tap enabled now. Just make it easy. You don't have to build a mountain of dirt for me as an attraction to get me in your store.
Joe, let me give you the takeaway for that, or something you can post. Simplicity is the new EDLP. Make it easy for them, and they'll buy from you again and again and again.
Correct.
Frictionless retail is the retail of the future.
I don't even know what an EDLP is, but I like it.
Everyday low pricing. It's what made Walmart famous. It's what
Right.
Sam made famous at Walmart. Everyday low prices, not sales.
All right, simplicity is the new EDLP. I love that. But, you know, there are some things that are changing, and I think we need to, you know, address them. One of them is, for me, it's been absolutely fascinating to see, is essentially what we would call the death of Black Friday. And I mean, this is, when I searched for the death of Black Friday, what I didn't realize is that there actually are counters that use that this is very dark, you know, that actually measure the number of
Body count.
deaths,
Right.
from Black Friday. But I mean, we've seen some of the largest retailers on the planet say we're done with Black Friday for so many reasons. So I would love to get your collective thoughts on whether it's, you know, Black Friday as a symbol, but actually as a physical day, right? When retailers, at least historically, would go from the red to the black. what happens to retailers and retailing when we don't have these iconic moments or anchor moments anymore because of change, because of, all of this uncertainty and volatility?
John loves this topic. John?
I do. It's one of my favorite topics. I think the problem becomes, again, we're stuck in this retail model. I was having this conversation with a colleague today. We trained people to shop. We being, I think, really the brands. If you want to give a brand a credit for it, Procter & Gamble taught people how to shop, right? They said, okay, we're going to put out a circular. We're going to tell you what all the deals are. You're going to go to the store and get them in a predictable, you're going to do your stock up trip on Saturday. You're going to do your fill-in trip midweek. So, and then we're going to have these special things that go around the calendar. Black Friday was one of them. And everything became this predictable pattern based on what the brands and the retailers to a big degree wanted us to do. Right. What e-com did, and especially when you really began to solve the last mile problem, is wait a minute. I don't want to be scheduled to shop. I don't want to have to, I don't want to have to have these times that I have to go to the grocery store. It's crowded. It's not convenient. Or I just don't want to. And all of a sudden that system began to break down, and yet it still went on. I was reading several articles this year on Thanksgiving Day about, oh my God, Black Friday, it's still a big deal, it's whatever. And I'm like, big deal. It's like $12-13 billion. Has anybody looked at the sales figures for Singles Day lately? It is a rounding error because we're still stuck in this idea that we're on this calendar versus thinking about retail is now a global phenomena. I know my daughter orders stuff all the time that is direct ship from China. And she says, it really takes a long time to get things from China versus getting them here. But she knows it's coming directly from China, right? So she has a shopping pattern that's altered because of that. And this year was kind of exacerbated because we scared the hell out of everybody in August and September, telling them that their Christmas was going to be ruined because of container ships. We kept showing, remember all the container ship videos that we showed and whatever. So sales dropped in November and December because you pulled them all forward to September and October. The season was almost the same size, take in the growth for inflation, and we had a pretty healthy growth season. But it's interesting to think we are still trying to dictate when and where people shop instead of just helping them shop when and where they want to.
So I have a little kind of, if it's not a follow-up, it's definitely a question for Ted, because, Ted, the relationship guy, John, the retail guy, right? What a great combination you are. So I'm thinking of how I want to articulate this. You mentioned the word China, John, and that sparked off a whole bunch of thoughts, which is we live in this world now where we're buying stuff from Instagram without thinking. There's almost this mindless commerce. Forget about, e-commerce or m-commerce. This is mindless commerce. And none of that comes with loyalty or fulfillment or customer service. Ted, I would love for you to talk a little bit about maybe, is this a potential opportunity for the return of the retailer brands to actually demonstrate not their muscle, but their heart when it comes to the back end of this equation?
I think, first of all, you make a great point. I don't even know who those retailers are. I first of all, whenever I find something on Instagram or Facebook I want to buy, I go to Instagram, I go to Amazon, and if I can't buy it there, the same exact one, I usually don't buy it because I have experienced trying to buy things from these kinds of things, and there is no customer experience, there is no customer service, and it actually turns me off from not just that one company, but from all the companies that are doing that. Now, we all know it's probably the same people behind them all, or it's somebody else just mimicking them and doing it. So what I've found is that it's allowed a lot of the smaller retailers, specialty service delivery companies that are taking advantage of the need for this connection and this relationship and building amazing businesses. So, I buy my vegan meals from Vistro. I buy my hydration powder from Hydrant. I buy my vitamins from Complement. I buy wine from Naked Wines. Why do I deal with those people direct? Because they've gone above and beyond to build the relationship. They communicate with me. They share with me. They make changing your order so simple. And it tells me two things. It tells me that it's not so hard to do, because a lot of these companies I'm dealing with, they are not overly financed. They're not these startups that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars. And, oh, yeah, it's easy for them because they're losing $300 million a year. They're not. They're driving very quickly to profitability. Another one is the Very Good Butchers from up in Canada. And the reason I deal with these people and the reason I'm a loyal customer is anytime I have a problem, I get I send an email, I get an email back. I jump into chat, I get a live person. I don't get AI. Or if I do get AI initially, it quickly converts me to a human if it's something AI can't manage with an easy answer or something like that. So I think what's happened here is it's opened a door. So Bob Farnham, I reached out to Bob Farnham, one of the Joe JAFFE clickers. I know Bob because of you. Great guy. I reached out to him before the show and I wanted to connect with him about something. And right away, Bob asked me about, obviously he's a Vermonter and he's into small business because there's so many small communities up there. And, this is a real opportunity for small business.
It is.
I think people really want that relationship. I think retail in a big way has come full circle from the day back when we were either probably before we were kids, but a little bit still when we were kids. And we're all kind of the same range. I know I'm the old guy here, but when the local merchant knew you and your mom walked in and she said, "Hello, Mrs. Rubin. And, I've got something that your kids will like." And she bought it because it was recommended by someone she trusted. And she knew that if these kids didn't like it, he knew she'd be back the next day. So he wasn't just throwing out what was the first thing on his door or whatever was the biggest commission or the biggest markup. And I think today people are kind of looking for the same thing. So whether it's a small business that's completely e-commerce and remote, like the ones I mentioned, or it's a local business that starts up. Now, right now, there's, Bob and I were discussing, there's been a real pause on that because of the pandemic, because people aren't going into stores the way they used to, or people are being more careful, but that's going to, pass at some point. And I think a lot of this open retail space that are being opened because the Sears, the Macy's, the JCPenney's, all these companies that are either have disappeared already or will disappear soon, because all they are about is throwing a lot of merchandise out and it's cheap. And we all know Walmart does that better than any of them. And Target's probably second with making people feel like it's better. So who needs the rest of them? We're going to have huge retail space open that are going to give people opportunities to open stores, to do things, to provide services, to know their customers, to build that personal relationship. And like I said, these e-tailers I'm dealing with, they even will remark about past orders of mine. And so, and again, I know they're not financed with mega millions, which means if you care enough about your consumer, you can build that relationship.
So there's almost a renaissance, if you will, for retailing that is ahead. There are a few things that I want you guys to talk to, and we have in our short time that we have left. But I think they're all very relevant to retail, and especially a book called Retail Relevance. Also, I have pasted a link, and I will also paste the links in the Discord server as well, to an article that John wrote on Black Friday, about Black Friday kind of losing its luster or its shine. So I would love for you guys to comment on this virtual plane, or this virtual dimension, whether we want to call it the metaverse or not, or V shopping or V commerce. Just love to get and your point of view on it may actually be to poo-poo it. I would love to hear your thoughts on the role that virtual and, quite frankly, the metaverse is going to play in retailing.
Well, I'll just throw in my quick opinion, just real quick. I never I'm not going to say never. It might be a little bit ahead of its time right now, but so are a lot of things that end up becoming something. Sometimes people say, they're not wrong. You're just, you're not ahead of your time. You're just wrong. But in this case, I think it's going to play a part. I have no idea of where it's really going to go. I think we'll have opportunities to buy more things by using those tools to experience the products before we buy them. But I also think that some things might not end up getting sold because you can do them virtually. And therefore, why do I need it? Why do I need to buy a basketball if I can throw on my goggles and play basketball inside my house? Now, this is from the guy who's putting a basketball net on the side of his building in Florida. So just saying, but I'm old school. But that's really all I have for you. But I think John might have a little more to say since he's the guy that goes out and experiences all these things.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ted, 100%. I think there's a great book. If you saw the movie or read the book Ready Player One and you enjoyed it, Ready Player Two is fantastic, and I hope they make it into a movie because it's wonderful. And I think it is a potential vision for what the future could look like in a metaverse. And exactly what Ted said, it's pretty compelling when you think about I can experience a lot of stuff in a virtual world that maybe I couldn't do in the real world. And for a lot of people, I think it's going to be super appealing. I think the form factor is going to change. We all see this thing. We're not going to walk around with this big goggle. They're going to be Ted and I work with a company called Lucid today that makes Bluetooth glasses. And their vision is powering the connection between the real world and the metaverse, the VR. And I think about, as Ted said, being early. Remember when Google had its Google glasses? Do you remember that product? A lot of people remember that product. Snapchat had kind of their version as well. Those were super early products, but Google probably had the best promo video for Google Glass. And it was a woman walking through a grocery store, and she wasn't being interrupted, but she was being prompted, right? And it knew where she was in the store, and it was prompting her about her list. It was prompting her about recipes that she had kind of checked out, maybe some offers or something. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have this augmented world, right? And there's going to be a continuum. There's going to be people who go into that world and probably never come back out. And I'm serious because to think about virtual life is probably more interesting than real life.
Hey man, I go back to bed to dream again. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, listen,
dream. I go back to bed because I want to get back in that damn dream.
Right.
Google Glass also introduced the concept of glass holes as well.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be. It's going to have to be transparent. It's going to be in a lens. It's going to be you're going to be physically augmented. Whatever. And I think that what I really enjoyed, got a little scary, enjoyed about Ready Player Two was I think it was a pretty decent what if, right, for where this could go. And you see, everyone knows Nike has jumped in and they bought, they bought, what's the virtual sneaker company? Because people are going to augment their, it's like having a Bored Ape as your Twitter avatar now. It is a badge that says I am this person in this world, and that's happening right now.
So John, that's a perfect tee up to something that you guys speak about. I don't know if you guys coined the term, but I'll give you credit for coining it, which to me is very interesting. This idea of personal commerce. And there's a great quote from the book that says, if our products come to us when we need them, do we still need to go and get them? So in this hyper new way of thinking about personalization and customization and personal commerce, would love to get a point of view on that. And then I have one more little sneak surprise before we wrap up.
Real quick, Ted touched on that, talking about his vegan food sources, right? And he's getting very comfortable with those, kind of anticipating his needs, checking in with him and saying, because, hey, it's a great selling opportunity too. Hey, Ted, we're getting ready to send your order. Hey, by the way, we've got these great new vegan latkes we want to introduce you to. We'll send you some. You want some? Just, whatever. That I watched my wife go through this. That is called. I read a term one time. It was like a personal RFP, right? So I need toothpaste, right? Make me have toothpaste. I love the Colgate. What's in the red tube? I don't see. This is a problem with branding. I don't even know what it is, but it's the type of toothpaste I use. My wife, when I first started, let's put our products on replenishment at Amazon. She's like, no, we're going to get too much, blah, blah, blah. They completely shifted her to any consumable product almost that we use today shows up. I don't have to think about it. I don't want to think about it. I like my Mitchum deodorant. I like my Colgate toothpaste. I like my the brand of magnesium that I take, whatever. And I use it pretty predictably. It's not that hard. And then as it gets, as AI gets better about anticipating my needs, oh, John's on vacation for 2 weeks. He's going to have a different consumption pattern, which is going to happen. It's just going to be effortless. I don't want to think about toothpaste. I'm sorry, Colgate. I know you got some brand managers that work really hard on this. I don't want to think about it. I love your toothpaste. I'm going to keep.
So I have to say, Jason Falls says, ask them if that on social media, these two jokers could please get a room and tell Ted to leave me and my buffalo wings alone. And that is the signature Jason Falls. he only
Jason, I always throw some bourbon comments your way. Come on, dude, you got to take both. Do you remember the Jason Falls lookalike contest when I tried to look like you? That was fun.
Yeah, not at the moment. Not at the moment. That beard, fear the beard. That's all I can say. One of the things that I always do is I find a quote for my guests, but I also don't normally have two guests on. And so this is the quote that I found today, and it's actually one of your own quotes. It felt very appropriate. Marketing will truly win when humans control the machines instead of the machines controlling the humans. Yes, it's a great quote. I mean, I'm wondering if we will. I'm fearful of the fact the machines may end up controlling us. But I would love to get your thoughts on how humanity and how relationships will ultimately prevail, not just in retailing, but certainly across the board. Ted, looks like that's a Ted question.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of you. You got me thinking about the quote. What was the question?
I don't know what the question was. Talk to the quote, damn it.
No, he's talking about the quote, and that's Ted's quote.
No, John and I started talking about retail relevancy as a book in 2017. A buddy of ours, Robert Moore, was doing some work in a studio. So we started a program, and we started just talking about this problem with all of these AI things, the bots that companies were using that were just not ready for prime time, and they weren't being run by humans. They were just setting it and forgetting it. I mean, forever, every time that you went on to Delta and said something, you got a thing back on Twitter saying, we're sorry, we're doing our best to solve the problem. And I'm like, I said I love Delta. Great flight. When you mentioned them, they assumed it was a complaint, and they were sending you something back. And then for a long time, who was it on Facebook was doing the same thing? I'm trying to remember. It might have been McDonald's or somebody else was doing the same thing. Every time you mention them, they came back with a standard response, and you'd respond to the response, and you'd get the same response back. And I find that even to this day, most of these bots and AI have not, either because nobody's bothered paying attention to them, or it's a set it and forget it thing. Like, hey, we got them. They're working great. We're done. Which happens a lot with a lot of the stuff we do.
I'm gonna try and synthesize all of that into Morse code. And that is my synthesis of the entire last hour, which I will never get back again. And why would I want it back? Because the time with you was truly special. But if I was to synthesize it in reality, what I would say is, even if people are coming into a store for that $6 toaster, don't forget the humanity. Yes. Don't forget the simplicity. Don't forget the loyalty. Don't forget that when humans control the machines, we all win. And that, my friends, is return on relationship, and even return on retail relationship. RORR. RAR. How about that, Ted Rubin? Guest number 46.2. John Andrews, guest number 310. Please follow these two gentlemen on the Twitter, on the Instagram, and most importantly, go and buy their book, Retail Relevancy, wherever books are sold. Gentlemen, there is nothing more to do today than to ask Mr. Chuck Norris about the future of retail.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
And we will be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.